This is my truck. She's great. She sips diesel on the highway. Is a little more thirsty around town. I've done a few things cosmetically and mechanically. I don't really have any complaints, but I think there's always room for improvement. And while the list of improvements is myriad.
Listen, past me went pretty heavy on the exposition here. Suffice it to say, I'm building a phone holder. This phone holder, for 3 reasons. The first is because I like the aesthetic. The second being I'm a beverage goblin and require both cup holders. And the third because I resent companies with an $822 billion market capitalization locking things behind glass while simultaneously refusing to employ enough staff to grant access.
Going off sort of approximation and just what feels right, we'll establish our angle as something like that with these shims. Plywood is not the best for most applications, but I think in certain circumstances, the layering effect can actually be a design additive. I'll transfer this angle. Similar thickness to our piece of plywood, so it has a sort of symmetry that's carried through it. Now we'll need to figure out our clampy clamps. Borrowing inspiration from the very apparatus with which you were just attached, I think we'll do something similar to this. It leaves something to be desired, but let's have a chop on the bandsaw and see what we come up with.
I know it probably seems a little bit presumptuous for such a nascent channel to ask for a subscribe, even if it is just a vanity number, but I'd really like to grow, so if you don't mind.
Forgive the angle work here. Trace our approximate shape, and then we'll tack them together for the sanding and refining bit. Any butcher with a saw can cut out the riff shape, but sanding is where poetry happens, where refinement happens. We'll go ahead and nail those together so we can have them be the exact same shape. I do envy shops that are polished and well put away, and mine is periodically, but it just doesn't seem to stick. That'll hold them together for the sanding process. I've gone through an insane amount of these little Dremel belts, and I dislike Dremels, generally speaking, but I think it's the best tool for this application. Anyway, does that look like a good phone gripping shape? I think so. Pretty nice. Let's start connecting. In a move that might be considered both overkill and perhaps dangerous, running a metal lathe jaw on a wood lathe. It's worked fine to this point. All right, here we go. Now, the way I figure it, we'll use the layers to attach our jaws.
Sorry, yeah, that's a weird way of saying we're going to cut sections of ply out to make finger joints so it can articulate.
Probably don't do this. Okay. That's not ideal. Generally, when the chuck spins, you want the bit to spin. And then figure out how long our mandrel needs to be. Oh, it's a nice tight fit. So probably just a little bit longer than that. You may think, isn't the peening table looking out like awful lot like the table saw? And you're right. Now let's try to line these up, which is going to be a bit of a chore, I'll tell you what. All right, that looks pretty good. Now, what are we going to do to keep it in tension? Well, I'm glad you asked. We'll use this extremely oversized shock cord. Now I just bang a hole through there. Significantly dome that. That's all right. Measure it out to about there. Now let's put it on our mounter. Nice. That glue will firm up and hold it in place permanently, but the nails will hold it in for now. Let's go put it in, see how we did. Probably want to I might tighten that joint up. Let's see. Something like that? I think so. Let's put it in. Just like that? Yeah, I like it. That's pretty good. I'll have to do something with the inverter another time. It definitely has a rustic feel to it. But it's pretty firm, pretty sturdy. Maybe we'll give it a test. I think it does the job. And instead of waiting 20 minutes for someone to unlock a cabinet for me, it took me an hour and a half to build. Anyway, thanks for watching.